Welcome to Inhales with Keni Silva, and today we're diving into the truth about health with Dr. Pompa. Welcome, Dr. Pompa.
All right, glad to be here.
Well, I'm so honored for you to come and share your knowledge, but first I want you to start with your personal story.
Well, pain to purpose. I mean, that's
we
my
love
life.
that.
Well,
if there is a pain, it has to have purpose.
Absolutely. I'll add one word: pain to purpose to promise, because I think that's the most important part.
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into that.
Yes. All right. Well, what I do, I've been teaching doctors for 20 some years, and so I'm blessed to, really make an impact in what I call the health pandemic, the real health pandemic. But all of that came out of my own illness, which started about 1999, 2000. I would say, like most people, I just fatigued, and I was training. I was a cyclist at the time, training for races and running a very busy practice. And I had 2 young kids at the time. So I guess that was a lot, but I loved every bit of all of it, right? So fatigue was like, okay, I'm just overtraining a bit. Backed off the training, but I wasn't getting better. I was actually getting worse. And then I took like 2 whole weeks off without doing anything. And I got even worse. So then I started getting weird headaches. I started getting this weird insomnia, panic attacks, digestive problems. Had none of that before. And things were getting worse. Sound sensitivity, just bizarre things. So like most people, I realized my adrenals were shot. My thyroid wasn't functioning right, even though my blood work was normal, but my hair was thinning. I was getting...
So it's just the outside, outlook that because your blood work was okay.
It was normal.
It was normal,
yeah.
But your personal observation, something is off, and,
Yeah, well, I mean, personal observation, life as I know it came to a screeching halt. I mean, literally, I became like someone I didn't even know, like massive irritability, anger, to the point where it was like, my wife, literally, I remember if the kids started crying or doing something, she would have to take them out of the house because I couldn't handle the noise. I'd get so angry for no reason. Fast forward to that, I found Mad Hatter's disease online. I don't know. Do you know what that is?
No,
yeah,
I don't know. That's why I want you to
yeah.
explain, because I have no idea.
Yeah, most people don't. They were known as Mad Hatters. Okay, so Mad Hatters, they were making fat hats with mercury, and lead actually. But so they become very heavy metal poison, mercury poison in particular. And I had every symptom. So I'm like, I'm a Mad Hatter. So I went and got a blood test. That day I ran $5,000 worth of blood tests. I remember because we didn't have insurance, and mercury was just one of the tests. And the doctor came out, and I could see the look on his face, and his exact words were, "Well, you're healthier than me, son." So that was not good, because if he'd have told me I had cancer, I'd have been like, okay, at least I know. It's like, I have something to fight. Yeah. Because before this was years of searching for an answer with nothing, going to all the best doctors and, leaving with no answer. So that day was a bad day because I thought surely I had mercury poisoning. Okay, fast forward now. I'm working with a very bright endocrinologist for trying to get my thyroid, my hormones, which were very disrupted, which no doubt was causing a lot of the symptoms that I had. But he said, Dan, I think you have mercury poisoning. And I'm like, I thought so too. But I did a blood test. Oh, that's the wrong test. It would only come out positive if you were getting acutely exposed, meaning a daily exposure, like people making felt hats, right? That you were using mercury as a part of the process. But he said, maybe challenge it out of your tissue, do this test, right? And I did that other test. And sure enough, not only mercury, I had a lot of other heavy metals that shouldn't have been there. So I asked the obvious question, when do you think that, how did I get this?
So that test, to be clear, showed that you do have mercury in your...
Yeah.
So there is something that...
So something.
So my question is, so if somebody's feeling the same symptoms like you are, but the blood results are showing that they're perfect, there is something they can test that will show that they have mercury, that's a cause, or at least maybe it's an assumption that's what's causing all those things.
Yeah, because just a blood test, it's in and out of the blood. What happens is it gets stored in your tissues. By the way, that's with most toxins. It's in your blood.
Wait, I want to ask because I come from Russia, and before in Russia, in school, they used to put the metal fillings.
Yeah, those are 50% mercury.
Okay, well, I took them out, but even if when you take them out, does that still stays in your body?
Yeah. And by the way, so when I asked the question, where do you think I got it? He said, did you have any dental work done around this time?
I was right.
You were right on.
Because when you were telling this story, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I automatically thought about my childhood, how back in Moscow, they used to put the metal fillings.
Well, I mean, not just there, here.
Okay.
I mean, everywhere they were using mercury fillings. And by the way, the ADA at first was like, oh, there's, the mercury's bound up. It doesn't come out. Okay, that was disproven by many studies. One study in FASB, a very prestigious medical journal, they showed that sheep, they put it in the fillings, and they put it because sheep chew, right? So they saw the mercury vapor. They found it in the brain, the kidney, the liver. Every major organ had mercury, especially the brain. Okay, so that was a study. Then there's a study, it's called the Drash study. It's a German study. The number of silver fillings in your mom's mouth was proportional to how much they found in the baby's brains.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that was autopsy
so it
study.
affects.
Yeah.
So even me having it, my kids can have.
In utero. So that's where that's where we got, if your mother had silver fillings, got our first exposure.
Pretty sure, yes.
Yeah, and then, of course, many vaccines, many things have mercury in it. We get other exposures, but mercury accumulates in the body, and just like the FASB study showed, particularly in the brain. Especially silver fillings, because it puts off a vapor of mercury that crosses the blood-brain barrier and it's into the brain. So that explained, not only that, I found a study, I still have it, that showed that not only does it go in the brain, but in particular a place called the pituitary hypothalamus. That's just your control tower for your hormones, your thyroid, your adrenals, all take command from that place in the brain where a lot of this mercury from fillings accumulates. Oh, by the way, I wore contact lenses. The saline solution in the 70s, 80s, early 90s had mercury in it. So in a form of thimerosal. So I was putting those in my eyes. So I get brain mercury from that as well. There was a time I was eating a ton of fish, because I was being very healthy, but I was eating a ton of tuna. So which also has a lot of mercury. So I had a lot of sources of it, but here's the problem. It accumulates, and in particular in the brain, where that mercury vapor turns to inorganic mercury, which lasts longer than you. So my point of saying that was part of your question, is it accumulates, number one, but it stays there. Once it turns to inorganic mercury, it stays there for our life, unless we do something very strategic to get it out. I've been teaching doctors that.
Okay, so how we get it out? So obviously, listening to you, we all have it, even my children.
Absolutely.
Because
everybody has some level of mercury, some level of lead. My parents, your parents grew up in the lead generation. Yeah. So most lead is stored in the bone. The number one source of lead is mom's, because it's normal to lose bone during pregnancy, and out comes lead into the baby.
Well, I even know that my mom broke her arm pretty bad, and I know they put the screws and the plates. And
very different, right?
But I'm pretty sure it also had the mercury in it.
But yeah, probably not that mercury in the screws, but your body's immune system does not like metal. And when
or any metal.
Yeah, any metal.
Wait, what about the kids wearing metal braces?
Yeah, I mean, if it's in and out for a period of time, it's one thing. But when kids get sick, if they have a retainer, a metal retainer, one of the things we do is we make sure that they work with a dentist to either put a ceramic one in or just take it out. Because the brain doesn't like metal. Some people watching this are probably like, wait a minit, I have a metal
But both of my kids,
plate.
they had both, they had to wear the, I'm blanking, they had to do the
retainer.
The retainer, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it was permanent because it was attached to their teeth.
Yeah, but after a certain age, they should take it out. Yeah.
And they took it out. It was like 6 months to, a year, depending on the things.
And again, they're using better materials these days.
So there is hope.
A lot of that stuff that comes from China has nickel in it. It has some other heavy metals that aren't good. So you want a really good quality one made in the U.S. It's going to be safer. But metal near the brain, it doesn't like it. So it creates something
what about
called,
the girls who's wearing those extensions, and those are the metal ones that get us attached?
Very different when it's actually in your mouth. Okay, so if people know what a battery is two opposing metals, two different metals in an acid. That's what a battery is. It creates a current. That's what happens in your mouth. So let's say you have a crown. Let's say you have one of those retainers, and let's say you have a filling that's metal, right?
Well, I still have the old crowns that's a metal inside, and then there's ceramic.
So let's say you have that and another metal. You have a constant battery current. It's called galvanism. So if you search galvanism, that your brain doesn't like it.
After this episode, a lot of dentists are going to make a lot of money to redo an almighty.
Biological dentistry, I am the #1 referred to biological dentist in the world. And it's because I realize how much disease starts here. So now we work with dentists all around the country. One here in LA, it's called Smile Body. Dr. Ben and his brother Sean, I send them a lot of business because, look, I can't tell you how many people have like anxiety, weird things, headaches. And one of the first things we do is we look here. If they have opposing metals, two different metals, take it out. And oftentimes they literally leave the office going, okay, I feel different. So a lot of disease starts here. We even send people for dentists that had wisdom teeth out or other teeth removed, and something is left behind called a cavitation. It's basically, it heals over. People have no pain, but there's infection in the jaw. After 20 years, they could have got a wisdom tooth out. And now this infection is creating autoimmune issues, gut problems. And we send them to these biological dentists who remove all that infection, and their life changes. Out of my own battle to close that door, that circle there, everything I teach today and been teaching about people who have weird symptoms, anxiety, headaches, I can't sleep, gut problems, brain fog, hormone-related challenges. I've tried everything. Dr. Pompa, I've changed my diet. I've done this. I do everything right, and yet I still don't feel well.
Yes.
Okay, that is a new pandemic. I'm telling you, in this country, it's absolutely the norm becoming. And I believe in my heart I got sick for it. And that brings me to the promise. Because from pain to purpose, everything I teach today came out of what I believe God showed me. My wife, during this hard time, many times, I'm sure, she was on her knees crying out for answers for me, for the family. This one particular time, God spoke to her heart. She'll tell you as clear as day that not only am He going to get me well, but I'm going to take a message to the world. Now, when she would tell me that, I would say, I would get so mad at her because I would say, I can't even get myself well. Like, to me, she was just putting a burden on me. I didn't understand it. Well, that promise got her through. And just recently at Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving, my oldest biological son told us that got him through. Hearing mom say, God's going to do this and hang on to that, got him through. Because my kids were obviously picking up on, there's something wrong with dad, right? So, because it was 4 really hard years.
It's a beautiful moment of realization.
But I sit here because of that promise, pain to purpose to promise.
Yes, and I realized after interviewing so many people that the purpose comes to them after something life-changing happens. It's like opens their, the whole life into like, wow, what can I do? Once they heal and, the clarity comes in. And it's a beautiful thing that you continued actually your purpose and doing and teaching us. And now you're feeling amazing. Yeah, I would imagine.
Keni, I'm 60 years old. I feel better now at 60 than I was in my 30s.
Okay, so now we want to know, what do you do?
I don't do Botox. I don't do fillers. But
I know, but how you started removing that mercury from your body?
Yeah. So that is what I teach, right? And not just mercury, but when we look at why there's so much chronic disease today, most often it's the root, the cause is toxin related. Here's what people have to understand. If you look at all the numbers, CDC, different sources, somewhere between 3 and 6% chronic disease 60 years ago. Okay, 3 to 6%. Today, it's over 60%.
Wow. Okay,
so what happened? I mean, cancer in 1970 was, in childhood cancers, we've had a 67% increase in childhood cancer since 1970. 67%. So it begs the question, what happened? Yes. What changed? That Aspen seminar.
Now I think 1 in 5 kids, they're all ADHD.
They have some type of learning disability, some type of diagnosis. Yes. Right. Think about this for a minute. Okay, me being 60, there wasn't one kid in my classroom with an inhaler. There was not one kid allergic to gluten, not even a food allergy.
But that's the other thing. I'm like, how come everybody is now so allergic to everything?
Okay, so the question then is, what do you think changed? What changed from my generation? And by the way, my children, this is the first generation to not outlive their parents, my children. What happened? What do you think it is? Well, how would chronic disease go up almost 70%? Childhood cancers, asthma, food allergy. What changed? Okay, what changed is the level of toxins that we're exposed to. That's what genetics didn't change. I sat in, we were both in Aspen, at an amazing cancer, raising money for childhood cancers, oncology, et cetera. And I was sitting in watching a panel, and a young man told his incredible story. How he battled non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, amazing story. And the people on the panel were amazing. But yet the talk was about genetics. And, some of the amazing testing that we have genetics, being able to have a fingerprint to know exactly what chemo to give kids. And I didn't want to be rude and ask the question, well, if we have almost a 70% increase since 1970 of childhood cancer, what changed? Did their genetics change? The answer is no. Genetics, they don't change that fast. Doesn't happen. And again, I would love to have heard what their opinion was, what changed. The level of toxins. One chemical that this generation is exposed to, that even my generation is a chemical called glyphosate. Glyphosate is being sprayed on almost every bit of food unless you're eating 100% organic, and sometimes you even get a little bit of drift. This chemical opens up the gut barrier, which allows undigested food to go into the bloodstream. We make antibodies against it. It's creating all these food allergies. It's creating autoimmune, and billions of dollars have been awarded to this being a known cause for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Billions of dollars. And yet when you walk in Home Depot to this day, you see Roundup. That's glyphosate. Not only that, they're still spraying it on every food. Matter of fact, 98% of corn in this country will not grow without glyphosate. 96 or 97% of soy. Most things won't even grow without it. Mexico has banned it. Italy has banned it. That's why when people go to Italy, number one, you don't see fat people because it's leading to the fat epidemic. Number two, people go, I can eat the pasta there. I feel so much better. You're a seasoned traveler. You know that to be true.
I always say that.
Yeah.
Why, when I go to Europe, I never have a problem with food.
That's right.
I always lose weight on every trip
Everyone
I'm there.
does. Everyone does.
And it's like, and when I'm back home, I remember actually when I was 19 and I came to this country, the first 2 weeks, I couldn't recognize myself. I was gaining weight from water.
That's right.
I was crying. My skin was flaring up. Like, I don't know what happens. I'm like, what is it?
Keni, what you just said is that when people move here from other countries, exactly what you just said happens. So what is it? It's what's the food, but yes, it's not just food. Right now, I'm on the MAHA board, Bobby Kennedy, and, there's a great effort to bring health, especially back into children. And they're saying, great, eat, let's move from these ultra-processed foods. Well, hold on a second. I grew up on white bread, I'm Italian, right? It's like I grew up on processed grains. Now, we could do better. We could have less processed things, but I still grew up on that, and yet I didn't have any of those conditions in, my school, right? My classroom, none of those conditions we mentioned. Processed food. So what is ultra-processed food? Is it white bread more white? White pasta more white? No. Ultra-processed foods means you look at an ingredient of bread, which should be 3 ingredients, right?
Exactly.
3 ingredients, but it's a list this long. That list this long is chemicals. That's all it is. And my saying is, if you can't read it, by God, don't eat it. Because it's chemicals. That is what's driving all of the disease, chronic disease, the cancers. It's the level of chemicals. That one chemical, glyphosate, we know it's causing cancer. We know it's causing autoimmune, and it's being sprayed on all our food. The moment you eat something with glyphosate, it interacts with an enzyme called zonulin. It opens up your gut and allows these undigested proteins to go in. That's one chemical. I could talk about a chemical called atrazine, that it's another thing being sprayed on our food supply and getting in the water. Atrazine, the company that made the chemical hired a brilliant scientist to study it, to prove it to be safe, okay? Because they were getting some pushback. He's in the lab, Tyrone Hayes, and he goes, oh my gosh, this stuff is making male frogs female. So he redid the study, redid it a different way. Male frogs, female. Okay, alarming, he brings it to them. They fire him, they shame him, and they say he's a quack, blah, 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 blah. No, that is a chemical that's still being given to our children via food, right? Wow. So again, I know not everyone can afford to eat all organic, but for goodness sakes, eat the clean. There's something called the clean 15. Like, these are foods that are cleaner than the dirty dozen. Don't eat off the dirty dozen. Things like strawberries, berries. I mean, there's different lettuces, but you can Google it. But the point is we have to avoid these chemicals like the plague. I mean, these are just what's being sprayed on our food. It's not in the list of ingredients. But if you look at the ingredients today, the ultra-processed foods, that's what's making people sick, Kenny. That's the problem.
Is all organic food the same? Or there is different? I mean, they all have the stamp organic, but are they really organic?
No, for the most part, they are. Can there be some blow off? But here's the thing. They lose that. They have to get that soil tested. And oftentimes they don't pass because of blow. There's basically some water exchange, some air exchange, bringing the chemical glyphosate or other pesticides in. But for the most part, it's real. They are better to eat all organic. You and I laughed before this because, in Russia, they don't need organic because they're not spraying, right? It's like in Italy, they don't need organic because they're not spraying. The laws are very stringent. They've outlawed glyphosate in most of these chemicals.
And why do you think they spray it? For what purpose? Well, I mean, these days, the produce, even the most to me, I'm always horrified. I bring things and in 2 days, everything goes bad. I never seen a cucumber that cannot last even 2 days.
Here's the thing. I'm reckoning all your pillows, but here's the problem. Here's what happens. They pick things non-ripe. They spray it with an ethanol. And what that does is it ripens it. Okay. Oh. And also they hit it with fungicides, things like that. But so that basically unnatural ripening, things need to ripen on the vine. So when you're eating farm to table, like, Italy, when you go to the restaurants, they're getting it right there. They're bringing it in that day, right? It's a much fresher food. Mm-hmm. But by the way, it's way more nutrient dense because number one, their soil is a nutrient dense soil. If it wasn't, they would need chemicals to get rid of the pests. And you ask the question, why are they using it? The pests, the weeds, in bad soil, you can't control the pests or the weeds. So you have to spray like crazy. Okay, over there, their soil is nutrient dense. They let things ripen on the vine. We're doing everything wrong. So this is why people are, Americans are fat and unhealthy, more point, because the weight loss resistance, this is a new term. What that means is people say, I changed my diet. I used to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Now I change my diet. I don't lose weight. That's weight loss resistance. I exercise. I still don't lose weight. Because hormones in this country are disrupted, causing weight loss resistance, the inability to lose weight despite diet and exercise change, and that is toxin driven. That's the difference. When you go to Italy, arguably they eat 20% more processed carbohydrates than we do. Why aren't they fat? And I know people say, they walk everywhere. BS. They ride Vespas. You know that as well as I do. They're not walking more. They're smoking more. It's like
they have the best life. That's why it's like, okay, when my kids go to college, I'm going to Europe because I want to die, healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
My own way.
The chemicals is the biggest problem we're facing with this generation. We've got to make changes. The families, the mothers are the ones who control this at home. And it's true. The mothers intuitively know that their kids need to be eating cleaner. And better. And it is really about avoidance.
Okay, so what's 3 things you would say to people right now to stop doing or stop buying?
Yeah, okay, absolutely, as much as you can. Okay, if you Google clean 15, dirty dozen, okay, the dirty dozen, these 12 foods, buy organic. Okay. If you can afford to eat all organic, it's worth doing in this country. Again, when you leave this country, don't bother. You don't need to. In this country, it's worth doing.
Might be cheaper just to live part-time there.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe. But okay, so that would be number one, because we have to avoid these pesticides that are causing cancer. Like I gave the example of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma just being one, but everything, all the gut problems that this generation is having, that's leading to autoimmune, hormone-related problems, weight loss resistance, all of it. It's like, so we have to change the food that we're putting in ourselves. Number one, here's a big one that everyone can do right now. Okay, change what you're washing your clothes and your sheets in. Meaning,
okay,
your
I didn't know
detergent.
that.
Yes.
Wait.
There's a reason.
Okay.
There's a reason. That beautiful fragrance that you smell when you wash your clothes, okay, and your fabric softener, those are massive hormone disruptors. Wow. Meaning,
I actually allergic. I have to have everything
free and clear.
Yes.
Yeah. That's smart, right? So Ecover, there's a bunch of
yes. I just can't because I start itching.
Okay. So even though, and the reason is it's poison, Keni, it's poison. But here's the problem: you're wearing that all day long. Those chemicals, the fragrance carries most of the toxins. The reason why, they by law do not even have to tell you what toxins are in it, because they're protected.
Any fragrance.
Any fragrance. Oh. So don't even use those plugins. They're poison as well. Any fragrance, because they're protected under intellectual property laws. And that means they can even use chemicals that were banned, known to cause cancer and hormone disruption 20 years ago. They're still using them because they can get them for pennies on the dollar. So avoid fragrance, defragrance your home. Shampoos, definitely what you're washing your clothes in, because
candles.
You're wearing it for 8 hours.
What about candles?
Candles, you buy natural candles, because again, it has all the fragrances. We're breathing it in, pulling it right into our bloodstream. And by the way, you don't just wear those chemicals for 8 hours, absorbing them right through your skin. It's called transdermal, and that's how we put on hormones a lot of times. But you're sleeping in them for another 8 hours. So change that, and that would be the second big thing. Also, microplastics. The best you can. Get rid of microplastics. How? Let me give you some shocking news. One of the big exposures, tea drinkers, is tea. So my friend Josephine, who you have to have on your show, she has a company called Elixir Tea. It's a bagless tea, because almost every bag, has plastic, high levels of plastic in it. It's the glue.
Bag.
Even the organic teas have the glue that and really how they keep the tea bag together. It's microplastics that turn into nanoplastics, and they go right into our brain. The recent study is on the autopsies. They're finding the weight of plastic of a teaspoon of plastic in people's brains. It's in the ovaries, it's in men's penises, it's in testicles, disrupting hormones. Plastics themselves, the chemicals, are hormone disruptors. So we wonder why we're fat. We wonder why we have brain fog. It's like these chemicals are massive. 1 liter of water has almost 250,000 pieces of plastic in it. Like one little bottle, 1 liter of water.
You're talking about the bottled water or the
bottled water? That's why you don't ever see me drink bottled water. If I'm on a golf course, I bring my own glass bottle of water. I will not drink plastic because of the amount of microplastics that are in it. Feminizing our boys, disrupting our hormones in our girls. It affects everyone, and it's accumulating, just like the heavy metals. It's accumulating in our tissue, in our reproductive tissue. Infertility has risen 4% every year. I mean, what is going on? These aren't just chemicals. These are neurotoxins, meaning they end up in your brain, and they're hormone disruptors, meaning that they're feminizing us as boys, women causing, hormone disruption in every way possible, weight loss resistance, you name it, and people just not feeling well because their hormones. Males have the lowest testosterone in the history of humanity in this country. And everything I just mentioned, the fragrances, the plastics, the pesticides, are all playing a huge role in what I'm talking about here.
So do you think the pharmaceutical companies thrive in this right now world? Because, exactly as you said, everybody goes to the doctor, they get prescribed all these kinds of medications or testosterone, all vitamins and all these things. So they want this, country to consume more, to spend more money.
If you look at it from the surface, you'd be like, wow, they must have one heck of a conspiracy. I mean, big food and big pharma must be in bed together. It's at the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents. If you would sit in one of these boardrooms, it's not as evil as you think, meaning that they're making decisions going, this just makes sense. For example, dyes that, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has taken out. Well, it's not, it will be taken out, but it has to go through this process. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies are ahead of it, taking out the artificial food dyes. When you go to Europe, you notice that the Fruit Loops they're not as bright. Oh, guess what? They're using pomegranate, beet. They're using natural colors. They're using natural colors. Here, we're using artificial dyes that are known brain stimulants for our children, right? It causes absolute, like, just brain irritation in children. It does lead to weight loss resistance. It's another hormone disruptor. Why are we using it? Because it's cheap and it makes the Fruit Loops, if you will, as the example, brighter. So the companies are like, no, we have to compete with Kellogg's over here who's using it, and ours have to be as bright, because the kids, when they test it, if you put 10 kids in a room, 9 out of 10 are going to reach for the bright one, if not 10 out of 10, the bright Fruit Loops over the non-bright cereal, because it looks better. So they don't want to change, but they're being forced to change, which is good. That's just one example.
Yes.
That in a boardroom, it comes down to dollars and cents. Right? They want to sell products, and in their minds, they don't think it could be that bad, because they've done in-house testing to show that it's safe. Well, safe in what you just did in your laboratory to show it's safe, but when it accumulates over time, it's not safe. And that's the different conversation.
I totally agree with you. But okay, so other things, you just talked about tea. I actually want to ask about coffee, because I love tea, but I also drink coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Is that bad too?
I start my day with 1 cup of coffee, right?
Okay, so it's good.
I think, actually, I just did an Instagram video showing the study that just came out, showed that 2 to 3 cups of coffee was actually prevented heart disease, strokes, and some of the top killers, because it actually, does cause a vasodilation. There was a bunch of reasons for it. So a little bit of caffeine can be healthy. Too much will burn your adrenals out. So it's like, where is too much?
But it's funny, because they always talk about how bad it is to drink coffee, and they never talk
it's
about how bad it is to drink tea, which I'm like, but listening to you now, I'm like,
caffeine.
okay, I'm removing all those tea bags, because my mom, she's just
elixir
Russian.
tea.
She brings just those, like chamomile, and you just put the actual chamomile in a teapot and you put the hot water.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
No bag.
No bag. There's no bag.
But because we live in a fast society, that's why my friend Josephine created the stripless teas, right? All organic ingredients, but no bag. Put the strip in, and it, you have tea.
Yes.
People like fast. So
yes, I like those where you can just take the actual product. Okay, baths. I want to talk about that, because I saw
that was
something.
The first thing you said when I came in. You were like, wait a minute, I take baths.
I take bath every night. That's how I relax, and it just puts me there. But then I've seen you like, okay, if you do this, and
the bath bombs that people use, all that stuff. Okay, I already talked about the poisonous of dyes. Okay, you're absorbing them directly into your bloodstream in a bathtub. Fragrance, we just beat up, right? Fragrance, defragrance your life.
Yes.
Okay, but the fact is you're absorbing that right into your bloodstream. All of those things have fragrance. So the question is, what do? You find natural essential oils, and they're selling more products of natural essential oils. Why? Because people are saying, I want them, because I want that good. I want essential oils that are good for your skin, good for yourself. Essential oils, bath bombs, and all those things that people are using.
What about Epsom salt?
Epsom salt's fine.
Okay,
yeah,
so
fine.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's staying home.
Yeah, but no bath bombs, none of the things that people are adding to water. It's absolute poison.
So everything that has a color or a scent has to go.
Yes, she's catching on. That's great. You got it. So because you
repeating, I'm like, okay, this is.
You asked me like the big things, because I don't. Here's what people do.
But it's because it's an easy thing, I think, to remove.
That's right.
We don't want to go into the detail and decloset it. Like going through every little item, because then it becomes a nightmare. If you start just going through every single thing, then you know what? You might as well, die, because the life of you can't avoid everything.
You can't avoid everything. Exactly right. But imagine this. Imagine there's a bathtub above us, right? And the drain is clogging for whatever reason, right? So that means, and the water's running, that means that if the drain, meaning our detox pathways, are slowing down, which can happen over age, or it can happen just with too many chemicals, right? Slowing down, the bathtub is going up, up, up. There's no problem right now. Up, 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 until one day it overflows, and then the damage starts. This is when people start medicating. This is when people start reaching for this supplement, that biohack, this thing, that. Hold on a second. You could spend a lot of money down here doing all these things, but unless you empty that bathtub, or first slow down what's going in. So we can't get rid of all of it, but we can slow it down so our tub doesn't overflow. Because once it overflows, you trigger the genes. Then you get the Hashimoto's. The thyroid is the canary in the coal mine. I date myself when I say this. My kids always say, Dad, like people have no idea what you're talking about. In the old days,
it sounds good. It sounds like, okay, that's very scary.
In the old days, they would literally bring canaries into the coal mine. And if the canary died because they were so sensitive to certain toxins, then the miners knew they had a certain amount of time to get out. Today, we have equipment for this. We don't need to bring canaries in. But the point is the thyroid is the first gland that gets affected by toxins. So that's why we have this surge. The last 20 years, thyroid conditions like this, autoimmune thyroid conditions like this. Even when people like myself go and get their blood tested, it's normal, but they know their thyroid's not functioning well because the normal range is so wide. But the fact is the chemicals are driving a lot of the thyroid problems. When that bucket overflows, boom, now you turn on the gene for Hashimoto's. Now you turn the gene for, whatever autoimmune it is. And that's where America is right now. Going, what is wrong with me? Your bucket is overflowing. Your bathtub's overflowing. Listen, the first step, slow down what's going in. 20 years I've been teaching my cellular detox, and that's what I teach people how to do, how to empty the bucket. I always like to get...
So it's not reversible, but you can slow it down enough that you
Absolutely.
just, having a fresher start for your system.
We get an aluminum exposure being outside. Why? All the new jet fuel has aluminum particles in it. It's dollars and cents. It's about making it more efficient. But the new jet fuel is saving them millions of dollars, but we're getting more aluminum into us and our environment. So my point of saying that is, you're right. Certain things are unavoidable. Therefore, we have to control what we can control. Yeah. If not for you, your children. So you can control what you're washing your sheets and clothes in. You can control, what you're taking baths in. You can control your plastic exposure. Every house today should have at least a reverse osmosis. You can control. Don't drink city water. Tap water is carrying these chemicals in a concentrated form into us and our children.
Oh my God, I drank this morning because I didn't want to go downstairs to get bottled water, so listen, I just opened the faucet.
You're not in Russia anymore, Keni. You're not in Russia anymore, okay? You can't drink the water. The level of chlorine, fluoride, which is going to be coming out, there's a whole nother show. We could just do a whole show.
Okay, what about the pools?
Okay, so
the chemicals in the
so
pools.
Like when what do the Europeans do? They have like salt water and other things, so they're moving away from chlorine because chlorine is a thyroid disruptor. Oh, but we use bromine. That's a thyroid disruptor. One of my videos on Instagram was I hate hot tubs because what happens is they're hot, they open up your pores, and you're absorbing the bromine, the chlorine, and every other chemical in there. You're worried about people peeing in there? Pee is sterile. Okay, that's the least of your worries. Disgusting, but least of your worries. You should be worrying about the chemical exposure. So I am also, big in whole house filtration. And there's a company called Ophora Water.
So the whole house filtration is actually works.
Yes, I have Ophora. That's my really slick RO system, gives me hot water, cold water, hyperoxygenates the water, so it's really healthy for you. But look, you can buy reverse osmosis units for $200-300 at Costco. So everybody, no excuse, should be filtering their water. Don't drink city water.
Even for cooking.
Absolutely. You're still getting it in you. I mean, the amount of heavy... I tested my water just to see what was in it. Arsenic, lead, high levels, pesticides. And I'm like, where do these pesticides come from? I look out my window, maybe 3 miles away, there's a golf course. My water source right below it. That's where the pesticides are coming from. So the point is I was drinking that. Oh yeah, these are feminizing pesticides, which crush my testosterone. If that doesn't motivate you to filter your water, what does, right? It's like, listen, if we could fix the hormone problems today just by taking hormones, we wouldn't be fat. We would all have energy. We'd all, not have brain fog. It's not that simple. There's a time and a place to give hormones, but the problem is your cells, hormones don't work in the blood. They have to attach to one of your cells, to a receptor, like your cell phone has to attach to a tower. On your cell, that receptor, it has to attach, and then it gets its message in the cell. When that happens, we have lasting energy. We burn fat for energy. We feel great. But the problem is toxins go and they blunt those receptors. Toxins are blocking your hormones from communicating with your cells. So even when you force your hormones back up by taking hormones, most people say, I felt a little better, this got better, but ultimately I still don't feel well, and it seems to be working less. And then you go to your doctor and they put you on more hormone, because see, it's not the hormone. It's the cell's ability to hear the hormone. And that's what toxins are blocking today. That's what's happening to why so many people don't feel well in this country. And now say, it doesn't seem like matter what I do. That's it. Your hormones are being blocked. Your cells are inflamed. You can't even get the nutrition in your cell because it's toxin-driven hormone resistance. I coined a term called toxin-induced insulin resistance, TIR. And I trained doctors for 20 years. Most people have TIR when they have diabetes or prediabetes, toxin-induced insulin resistance, meaning your cells can't hear the insulin, and therefore you have glucose that starts rising in the blood. But it doesn't stop at insulin. Insulin resistance, it's thyroid resistance, it's estrogen resistance, testosterone resistance, meaning your cells can't hear despite the levels being made normal in the blood.
Wow. What about vitamins?
Okay.
Can we take those?
Vitamins,
those are killing us too.
Most are. Well, look, no, most vitamins that people buy in Target, I always say this. If you're going to spend more money on something, do it on vitamins because you do get what you pay for. When you go into Costco and buy the cheap
do they have
vitamin,
to be organic?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Put it this way. Yeah,
vitamins.
There's different sources that are more absorbed at the cell. There's different sources that are more utilized even in the gut. There's different sources that are just used better by the body. And you want those more expensive sources, right? So, you just don't want, vitamin B6, right? There's a special form of B6. There's acetyl groups on things that make it more usable. So you get what you pay for. Pay for the better vitamins for you and your children.
So you think if there is a price is higher, there are better vitamins? Or it's just the manufacturer?
Could you be getting ripped off in some cases? Yeah. Maybe.
No, but how do you know? How to know?
Buy them from your health practitioner. They're typically going to be privy enough that they're buying the better sources, and you'll notice that they are more there. But practitioner vitamins, practitioner blends, meaning you typically can't buy them in a store, those are going to be better. So I'm not going to sit here and promote a company, but practitioner brands are better.
Okay, is it better to take a multivitamin or a vitamin separately? You know how they have different like omega, like B, or a multivitamin can do it.
If you know that you're deficient in one thing, you're probably better off just buying that one thing. But a very good multivitamin can be, useful.
But does it really do something or not? Because truthfully,
that's right.
I never, and I'm 42, I never until now started taking vitamins because I don't really believe in my mom being,
if you eat the Russian diet, you don't need vitamins.
Well, because my mom is also, she has a scientific background. And she's like, they don't digest. It goes in and out.
No, that's not true. They do digest. You can use. But here's the point, though.
Such a small amount that you have to.
If you have a deficiency, you only need a small amount, right? And your body will use it. This will piss a lot of people off in the natural health industry, but if you do eat a really good diet, chances are you don't need vitamins. Now, I know what they're thinking. There's 5 vitamins that even if you eat a good diet in this country, you could be deficient in. So I'll give you that. Okay, let's talk about those 5. Okay, number 1 is magnesium. It's not, remember I told we have a soil problem in this country?
Yes.
So you're not getting the levels of magnesium, even if you eat a good, healthy plant-based diet or, blah, 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 you eat really good, healthy grass-fed meat, you could still be lacking magnesium. Likewise, people don't eat grass-fed meat in this country. They eat grain-fed meat. I'm a big fan of 100% grass-fed, grass-finished meat.
Now you just opened my eyes on something because I always wonder when it says fed meat, and I'm like, what else? Would they eat? And now you just said it's grain versus grass.
Grain-fed. It's not meant. They're not meant to eat grain.
That's why I was like, in my mind, we always with my mom laugh okay, what else do they even eat?
In Russia, cows only ate grass, and probably to this day.
And that's why it's coming. Just and now you just open it. I was like, wait, that's what they mean by that.
Grass-fed, grass-finished, which is even more confusing because that means someone could advertise grass-fed. And then the last 3 months, even month, they feed it all this grain, fatten it up. And then you just got
that's
all
what
the.
it is.
I talked about that glyphosate chemical.
Yes.
The number one thing you have the highest level is in grain. Grain, because it's called desiccation. I don't want to lose your viewers here, but desiccation means
Got it.
before, when they harvest it, they spray this herbicide, pesticide, glyphosate that's causing cancer.
Yes, you started with that, so we kind of like go into this.
They spray grain.
Okay, but at least now I know what it means, which you indicated on something, which I was like, okay.
So they spray the grain to desiccate, shrivel it up, and it makes the harvest. They basically get more from the harvest. So, and it's all over the grain. So when cows eat that, it goes into the flesh. So, but let me finish the 5, because people are out there going, he didn't finish this 5. Okay, number 1, we talked about magnesium. Number 2, because they're not eating grass-fed anything, they're deficient in vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is how we get calcium into.
Nobody talks about that vitamin. I never even heard about that.
Because when you eat grass-fed raw dairy, you get K2. Grass-fed butter, you get K2. Grass-fed meat, you get vitamin K2. And that is the number 1 source. So vitamin K2 is deficient. Also vitamin D. People are using more and more sunscreen because we've been told that sun causes cancer, God forbid. So they put sunscreen on, they're not getting vitamin D. And vitamin D is a pro-hormone. It makes you feel good. It helps other hormones function. So important. So those are called fat-soluble vitamins, and they're lacking. Magnesium, the K2, vitamin D, and also B12. Why B12? Because we have something called intrinsic factor in our gut. We actually have a process to help us absorb B12. And when the gut isn't right, we become B12 deficient. And so B12 absolutely can be deficient in people. One more, iodine. Iodine is void in the soil now. And because of that, we need iodine for our thyroid. We need iodine to protect our DNA. We need iodine for our brain, kids' developmental brain. Iodine.
That's what I just heard. I was actually, my mom said it to me, just like about the iodine, which I never, I never knew. That's the deficiency in iodine causes the kids right now to have
IQ, lower ADD, IQ drop. So those 5 are, people need to pay attention to. Now, if you're eating a lot of grass-fed, grass-finished meat, you're probably just fine. If you're doing the things to get those vitamins, eating 100% organic, you're probably fine. Most people aren't, and that's when I would look at supplementation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh my
and by
God,
the way, most diseases, again, here's where the space is wrong and where you're right. Most diseases, feeling good, hormone conditions, all that, it's not a deficiency. It's an overload of chemicals. So everyone's paying attention to all the expensive vitamins, all the expense, but that's not where most disease is. Most disease is the overload of toxins. And I'll add one more thing that everyone listening to this, please listen to this carefully. We have been duped to believe that seed oils are healthy for us. Now, hold on. Seed oils can be healthy if they're cold pressed, where they're done right, but that's not what we're getting the exposure from. It's processed food. Seed oils are fragile oils that get denatured in the presence of too much light, too much oxygen, and too much heat. And that is, if you go even to Whole Foods, most of these products have different seed oils in them. Vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, go down the list, sunflower seed oil. All of those are denatured fats. Here's why it's a problem. I mentioned the toxins come right into our cells and disrupt our hormones and, drive cellular inflammation. So do these fats. So people have to pay attention not to get these fats. So I say, look, if you can just eat more organic and get seed oils out of you and your family diet, watch what happens to your health. It's that simple. But unfortunately, if you go to dinner with us, and I'm sure you will one day, you'll hear my wife and I say, we're allergic to seed oils. So make sure there's no seed oils, no vegetable, no canola oil. We tell them we're allergic because then they come back and go, oh, there's a blended oil of olive oil and canola oil in the dressing. So we can you just use 100% real olive oil? Yes, we can. That's how we do it. So seed oil free your life. I mean, unless it's a cold press.
Small adjustments, to be honest with you. It's
That's
not
my
that
point.
hard.
That's the point I'm making.
Because I'm all about making life easier. And it's not that hard.
That's right. You said the top 3 things to get out of your life. I told you what they are. Okay. And I added get a water filter. And then I said, if you just make these food adjustments, right? Get the seed oils out. It's so easy to do it. And they can do it. You do it tomorrow. Why wouldn't you? Because it's decimating the health, the hormone health of America. America. It is.
Right.
So,
and it's like for me especially, like I hate when to add things into my list of taking extra vitamin, doing this extra, when it's so easy to eliminate things.
That's right. And that's the key to health. The bathtub upstairs, slow down the spigot. Elimination
You don't have to fix
is going to
things,
bring
that's
you
it.
more health, right? And it costs you
Exactly.
nothing to eliminate a lot of things and switch things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually, like instead of buying all these extra supplements, by decreasing this, you're saving.
That's right. Exactly.
It's all about-
Honestly, I can show family. One day I should just do it. I should, show a family how they don't even have to increase their spend, if they just make these switches, these changes. A lot of the stuff now people are buying a $200 ozone in washing clothes and that. You put an ozone machine on your washing machine, which number one, your washing machine doesn't form mold that way. But number two, you never have to buy detergent again. And it makes your clothes cleaner and it makes your clothes last longer. So there's another solution that in the end will actually solve the problem. It's cheaper. So, yeah. So look,
there's so many things and we can talk about it forever, but where people can find you to actually learn more about all these things directly from you, ask the questions.
My Instagram is just DR like Dr. DR Pompa, Dr. Pompa. Okay. And in the beginning, I would give people, here's the problem. And they'd be like, you didn't give us a solution. So I make sure I tell you, here's a problem, here's the switch, and there's a solution. So you watch my Instagram. My website's the same. It's Dr. Pompa. But I'm out there in a big way.
Can people see you live?
Yeah, I'm doing a seminar this October. First, I've taught seminars for 20 years to doctors. This is the first public seminar I've ever done. So if you go live it, Pompa Live, I think brings you there, pompalive.com. And that will bring you, and you can sign up for the seminar. It's in October.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Pompa, for coming, for in-heels and educating us how to make stress and healthier life. And it's actually very easy.
It is. And I'm so glad you're one of the first hosts to really make that point. It's easier.
We're here to make life easy. Everybody knows I'm the simplest, easiest girl.
Yeah.
I don't do anything extra. Because it shouldn't be that way. Because I want to free that time for enjoying my life, spending time with children instead of worrying about all these things. Where I can, the simplest adjustment, just throw all these things by. Okay, let's see. No perfume, no color.
Natural perfumes.
Not all natural.
Never put regular perfume on your neck because it's a thyroid disruptor and it blocks your lymph. Another story, but go ahead, you're going. The fragrances, right?
The fragrances, that's an easy one.
Yep.
Then there is no coloring, which is an easy one. Okay, about the tea, you heard it all. So I will keep my coffee. I was right about that.
Yep.
We're just going to change the tea situation and the water.
Yep.
No drinking, no plastic, and you're good to go.
That's right. Oh, a coffee, make sure that it's doesn't have mycotoxins in it. You can buy cleaner coffee, organic coffee.
Got it. Well, I'll stick to,
but you're right. Don't overcomplicate it.
Let's keep it easy. Thank you.
That was good.